So we've been building Curie Money for close to 18 months, 2 years now. I think we've solved major challenges in terms of bringing this product to the market. And as you know, we've gone live just 2 weeks back, and the customer response so far has been great. So it's great for me as a founder and as the whole team to see that the product itself being live. In terms of challenges, I think one of the major things that any fintech in India has to do to be operationally live is to secure a bank partnership in our case, to sort of be compliant with all the regulations. So we secured an NPCI TPAP license. A lot of work went into that, into building the product itself. We also got sort of licenses from SEBI. So I think all of that coming together along with the tech has just been a great outcome.
Great. That's really inspiring to hear. Double clicking on the compliance part, right? Why don't you tell us something more in terms of what all compliances you follow from a security perspective? Since you're the CTO and you largely deal with technology, how do you make Curie Money secure, and how do our customers' data is protected, and what are some things that we generally follow?
Right. So being a fintech app, I think users, when they come on our app, they place a lot of trust in us to keep both their money as well as their data secure. So as some of the measures that we take is that all of your data resides with Curie Money, and we follow RBI's data localization policy, which means all the data resides in India itself. Your data is always encrypted with the highest end of encryption technologies. Additionally, we are also PCI DSS compliant. What that means is that all of your data, as well as the people processes that go behind securing your data, meet the sort of the international standards made by the PCI society, the council. Additionally, we are also ISO compliant, which is another certification given that all the processes are met. We make sure that there are no lapses in the whole process. We use all of your antivirus technologies, all the malware detection technologies. We have similar things on the mobile side as well, where any kind of malware, if it is installed, we immediately sort of block your app. We've seen many cases of in India, the mobile app scams are a lot. Us being a UPI payments platform as well, we take additional measures that if, let's say, a screen recording software is installed on your phone, it'll just go blank and nobody will be able to see any sensitive information, including your debit card details, your MPIN, things like that. So those are some of the measures we take.
That's great to hear that we follow the highest standards of security here. Can you in fact go ahead and tell us something unique that you did while developing the app, or some unique approach you took, be it on the back-end side, be it on the front-end side, or something innovative that was done?
Sure. So I think one of the largest problems that we solve from an engineering perspective is we deal a lot with the mutual fund industry. And the mutual fund industry, by and large, is a very old legacy system where different parties, they operate on a batch processing system, which means they send Excel files to each other, and that's how your mutual fund allocation is done or your redemption is done. However, when we looked at that did not work exactly for our product. We had to have a very real-time system because that's the need of the product. So the challenge went into going from taking a batch-based system and converting that into a real-time system. And the sort of engineering that went behind it on the back-end side, figuring out sort of neat hacks around how to make this happen. I think that was one of the major challenges that we saw.
Lovely. Tushar, for our customers, can you actually explain what happens when you make the UPI payment via your mutual fund? You can answer this question from a flow perspective, exactly what will happen, or even from a behind the scenes engineering perspective as to what is going on. when a customer is
Sure.
actually making a UPI payment from their mutual funds?
Sure. So what happens is every time a customer comes on our app, they have a mutual fund folio. That's essentially a mutual fund account where their money is residing. In our case, right now, it resides in a liquid fund. The customer also has a Yes Bank account through which the transactions are made. So now what happens in real time is a person goes to a merchant, they want to pay for their goods or services, they scan the QR code, they enter the amount, and once they click continue, there are two things happen in this transaction, one after the other. The first is we do an instant redemption. This is done from the EMC account coming into the user's Yes Bank account. Once that money hits the Yes Bank account, that's when the user simply opens the UPI pin page is open and the transaction gets settled with the merchant. What we've done uniquely here is this instant redemption API, the first leg of the transaction that is unique to us. A lot of work has gone with our partners to make this probably the fastest instant redemption API in India, and that happens in a matter of seconds. So very real-time transaction happening in two different legs to sort of deliver that experience that you've paid for mutual fund.
That's really good to hear. I personally tried the mutual fund UPI on Curie, and I keep using it for my day-to-day life. Why don't you tell us your first UPI transaction from mutual funds on Curie?
Sure. The first time I made a payment, so I was probably one of the first people in the team to test it out, and I think we were at the office and we were just trying it out. When I made a transfer, I think it was Varindam, and just seeing all of that come together was a great experience. So I think it was a 101 sort of shagun amount or something, but that the work that went behind that, it was great. So yeah, that was probably the first test transaction was the one I did.
Even my first test transaction was done to be to one of our engineers that year. What was the date? Do you recall the date
Do I recall the date?
of your first UPI transaction?
It was the day I think our NPCI license went live, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't recall the
4th
date.
September.
4th September. Okay. I think people who should try out our app is anybody who has a existing savings bank account, and that's where your salary comes in and stays. And your savings bank account is actually a great instrument. It's money at your fingertips. Anytime you want to make a payment for goods or services or an emergency payment, your savings bank account is always there for you. But the drawback is that you get 2.5% to 3% interest rate depending on which bank you have it in. I'd encourage everybody to try Curie Money. We give you a higher interest, almost 2x, with everything that you love and enjoy about your savings bank account. So if you have money and you wanted to put it to use, I think you should try out Curie Money.